Hi, I'm Karimi and I'll be taking you through legal challenges in digital music distribution.
And so let's talk about data privacy. What is data privacy? It's concerned about protecting information to do with a user, their content, their personal information, how it's stored, how it's shared, whether it's shared with the right people or not. What about data security? Or in some instances, information security? It's to do with preventing information from being shared in an unauthorized manner with third parties. And so when you think about data security and privacy, you think of a window and a curtain. Your data privacy is like a curtain, but a curtain doesn't prevent a thief from entering your house. You need a window or a door. So you think of having both data privacy and data security as key things to think about when you're talking about the online world and the digital world. A lot of the online platforms, for example, iTunes or Apple One, as it's called nowadays, implements some digital rights management or DRM encryption, where they make it very difficult for unauthorized users to access that music or to use that music. So you essentially need to purchase that music in order to use it. There are both advantages and disadvantages of that, but by and large, it's one of the ways that a musician has to protect their rights to their music. So why does data protection matter to a musician? Third parties, we talked about third parties, could be platforms that are used to distribute music, to promote music, to connect with musicians, connect with fans, to run concerts, to organize concerts, and they heavily rely on the collection of data. And that data needs to be protected and shared and used in a responsible way. Some of those platforms include YouTube, Spotify, Deezer, Dundo, to cite a more local example. And it could also include your own personal website for your own music. As long as you're collecting data, you need to conform to some of those rules and regulations. So as a musician, it's important to be aware of this.
An anonymous attendee who is asking whether they should decline cookies. And I think you should take that question together with another one here. Cookies, for example, on Facebook, help protect my data.
So it makes sense to first understand what cookies are. They are essentially small text files on your computer, where each time you go into a website, most websites will automatically have the browser save small text files on your computer, and the website understand what sort of, say, internet browser you're using and what sort of computer, if it's a computer or a mobile phone. Basically, it's information that allows the provided. So on one hand, it's very useful information for the person providing the service by the website. On the other hand, some of that information can be exploited if it's not taken care of well.
What kind of information do cookies collect?
So as I said, where you're browsing from. So if you're using, say, Zuku in Kenya, for example, if you're somewhere in the US, there's some information around how you're accessing the website, what sort of internet browser, are you using Windows, are you using a Mac, are you using a system, are you using an iOS or an Apple phone? Even sometimes you can actually tell roughly based on different aspects your location. So if it's a phone with a GPS on, roughly where you are. So that's a lot of information for some people.
So traditional forms of music distribution included LPs, which were those things that you play on turntables. They don't exist anymore, I think, unless in vintage stores. CDs, tapes, and there's a generation of people who don't even know what that is. And then we moved to digital distribution. And at this time, it moved from putting your music on to physical copies and having the music distributed online. Fortunately for us, when COVID happened, we had this way of distributing music, which meant that musicians who ordinarily would have had to sell their physical copies in shops where people were not going, at this time people could still access the music that they needed. So Mpumi has recorded the song, has Sifo, the producer, who has produced the song, and they now want to get the music that they created over quarantine to us. So what are the things that they could do, and how can they get the music out in that way? Internet proliferation around the world has gone up very well, and so that means people have smartphones, smartwatches, smart tablets, computers, and they're able to access music through that. While copyright models were really created for a physical copies model, now on the digital distribution models, they are adapting the physical model to the digital model, and the calculation of those royalties is actually quite complex. There are ways that Mpumi can get her music on. So one of the ways that she can do it is do it herself and actually physically go and upload the music on the sites that allow that. But there are services on the net that allow you to just put your music on and they distribute them to most of the popular music distribution sites. So CD Baby, DistroKid, Reverb Nation, Landra, and TuneCore, which are just some of them, will allow the artist to put the music up, and then they will be the music will then go on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, and all the popular music distribution platforms. You really need to be careful to read your terms and conditions on all those sites, whether you're putting it on a music distribution site or when your music is up on Spotify. You also need to know what the terms and conditions of those are, because that affects you as an artist. So let's talk about revenue, which is why we create music anyway. The revenue models for the subscription music distribution platforms differ. But to be honest, on Spotify, for example, you make 0.003 cents on the dollar. This is 0.003 cents on a dollar. That means for you to make $3, you need to make 1,000 plays. And it is no different on a lot of the platforms. So for every 1,000 streams, you get between $3 and $5. And that is something that a lot of musicians have been complaining about, because the revenue on the digital streams is so low. But the digital platform also has the advantage of reaching a lot more people in the world. So let's talk a little bit about the advantages of music distribution online. For example, on YouTube in Kenya, for you to start earning on YouTube streams, for example, you have to hit 1 million views. Now that would have seemed an impossible task, but with YouTube and all the other social media platforms, how people usually get people to go onto their site, there's people who hit 1 million views in a day. So, and depending on the population and the kind of marketing strategy that you use, then you can get into 1 million views and start earning almost immediately, which wasn't the case before, when music distribution was physical and where the CDs had to actually physically reach the audience for you to actually earn the money, which was rarely more than 10% of what the retail price was. The other thing about uploading music on any of these music streams, as we covered on the copyright episode, you need to ensure that you do not have any copyright material that is being distributed in your music distribution platforms that does not belong to you. For example, on YouTube, you wouldn't be able to earn any revenue off copyright material. So meaning if something does not belong to you, then they will not allow you to monetize what that music is, unless of course you've created, you have the right contracts ensuring that you have made the right clearances for you to use that music. Let's talk a little bit about taxation. So in Kenya, again, we have new laws that have come up, and starting in January 2021, we'll be paying 1.5% of gross received income on online payments. This means that whatever money that you're making as an artist in Kenya that comes to you through a digital means will be taxed. There are different jurisdictions, and different countries have different ways of dealing with their tax online, but that is a new legal thing that you need to think about. So Mpumi just can't earn the money off YouTube. She also has to think about her tax obligation on that, and that's a legal thing that you never want to get into trouble about. So Mpumi is going to be happy that she will put her music on CD Baby or iTunes or TuneCore or DistroKid, and she'll be able to reach an immediate global audience. Why is that important? You're able to ensure that you know who your audience is, what age your audience is, where they are. So your analytics on a digital space are amazing. You're able to actually target your audience in a way that you'd never have been able to. We don't have a middle person now. You really just put your music online and you make your money, and you continue creating as much as you want to. You're able to build audiences in a new environment. You're able to create work that has never been seen before. If any of you use Fortnite, Diplo did an entire gig on Fortnite that had the biggest audience ever witnessed. The possibilities of new collaborations on the digital platform cannot be even conceived. You're probably dreaming of one right now. The Versus series on Instagram was something that we didn't think would ever see two big artists playing their music for us to listen to. So you can sit at home and probably do something with someone in your own country or someone in another country that you enjoy working with, or maybe one of your idols. The possibilities are endless. And for you, you'll be creating new music and creating new work for yourself. There are disadvantages of the digital distribution space, and there are pitfalls that you need to look out for. Like I said before, for your revenue, you have to ensure that you are looking at your taxation really well, making sure you don't get in trouble with your tax authorities if you do have that digital tax like we do have in Kenya. The internet risks, you ensure that you're following what your data protection should be, and also taking care that the internet sometimes is not a safe place, so that you protect your data online. And as soon as you find an issue with your, for example, customer base or data that you have collected, then you need to get on top of that as quickly as possible. So you have to think about risks that you ordinarily did not think about in the physical space. The quick development of the internet also means that there's always something new. Today it's going to be, it was once MySpace, then now it's Facebook, it was once Vine, and now it's TikTok, and there's so much that you have to keep up with. So when you find a digital space, ensure that you know it well and that you monetize it as much as you can. Another disadvantage of that space is that the tech companies decide what you get paid. You don't decide what you get paid, but they decide what you get paid. And that has led to some artists pulling their music from some of these streaming platforms. But that doesn't mean that that can't work for you. You need to ensure that you get to your audience and you make money in all the spaces possible. So food for thought. Maybe you need to think about the spaces that you can make some more money, or ways that you can market your music, and ways in which you can work with other people, because that's the only way you continue to create and to make more money.
Karimi.
Yeah, that was it was fun. I think one of the things that we were just talking about when we were off camera was about whether your businesses can survive at this time in the digital space, or rather the digital era, without going digital. I think being a business that has to adapt quickly. As a creative, you have to think about, where will I be? Well, people who are asked their question in 2015, where will you be in 5 years? Nobody ever thought that we would be in our houses running away from a flu. But when you think about it, if you think strategically about your career and think strategically about what the next move is, if you're not on digital, you're not going to make any money, and that's my assessment of it.
But how realistic are, I mean, digital has been here for some time. I mean, the digital distribution channels, the YouTubes and the what have you. How realistic are the revenues that are really trickling down finally to the artist for us to say it's the future, this is where everybody needs to go?
Well, when we started the music careers as the way we know them now, everybody was selling the phone. We never had that turntable thing in our house. We started with tapes, but I used to hear about turntables in people's houses. But by the time we were in 2010 when those platforms like on the Safaricom, what are they called, Ringback Tunes, and when those started, nobody thought that they would be making the amount of money that they are making, and people are making millions of them. So the people who created content for Skiza, for example, not paid for, but this is not an ad. Those people who created that are making. There are people who are making millions of shillings per month. The guys who create content for YouTube, for example, I'm told, I didn't know this, but Diamond's new video had 1 million views in 13 minutes. So that means when Diamond is creating a video, man, when you see the clothes, the moves, he's creating content for us to consume, and without a doubt, we are all flocking there, and he's making his millions of Kenya shillings or his millions of dollars through that. So how realistic it is as realistic as your imagination. If you decide that this is something that you want to do and you want to do in a big way, then you do it like your life depends on it. And Diamond now, I would say, is the biggest artist in Africa, because he's over 1 billion views now on YouTube. So that would put him in the same place, I mean collectively. So it would put him in the same place with the Biebers, with the Beyoncés, with everybody. So it's just what it is you decide that you're going to do.
Colette, any questions from the attendance participants?
So somebody is asking, how will the digital tax affect me if I use these platforms? I think you had mentioned something about tax, Karimi.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the way the digital tax regime was created, in my view, was really to look at the kind of revenue that the big companies were making. So when the big companies are looked at and they see how much money the Facebook, the Google, Twitter, Instagram, all those people are making, that is what the target was. But what that means is that the law doesn't say, oh, big company that is going to make revenue out of Kenya. They don't differentiate the big company and us small users. And that's how it has affected. So this thing was created for the big companies, but it's going to affect you, yes, that you need to pay that tax. I don't know whether someone will go to court to try and stop it, but let's wait and see. January haijafika. So let's wait.
So any money you make off those platforms,
yes,
1.5% of the gross transaction value, just pay KRA in advance.
Yes.
Have your piece.
Yes.
Yeah. We can protest as we comply.
Yes, complying is they will ask you to comply first, to ongea later. Yes.
And even as we talk about big platforms, somebody is asking, can I self-distribute or do I need to go through a big platform? Can I be a small person in the big game?
You can. It's just, why reinvent the wheel? That's my question. I always ask, if you're going to have a car, why do you want to create a car of your own to distribute? And the R&D, the research and development that you need to go into creating your own car to distribute in the places that you need to distribute, the kind of money that you need to move that forward is quite a bit. But if you cleverly use the tools that are there, because all these things are tools, no matter how you look at it, the YouTube, Instagram, yes, they're making money. They are making money off the data that they collect from their users. They are making money off the kind of advertising that they place on those spaces. Personally, like now, YouTube has become one advertisement, and they make money, but it also means that you make money when they make money. So I think concentrating on your craft and concentrating on what it is that you are good at is what then creates the opportunity for you to make the money that you need.
And even as we are talking of making money, Karimi, somebody is asking, how much do streaming platforms pay for streams and sales?
Yes, we'll play the recording a little later once we're done, but we're talking about $0.03 per stream. So to make 1,000 streams gives you $3. So it's not a lot. But if you imagine that you have 1 million streams or 2 million streams on your platforms, then of course the amount of money that you're making is quite a bit. But to get there, there's a lot more work that you need to do, and your machinery working on the digital platform needs to be very innovative. I don't use, for example, did you guys know about Snapchat? Me, I didn't know. So now the new thing is TikTok. There's now TikTok. There's a revenue model of TikTok. So finding out about these new spaces and how you can leverage on them. There are people who you can see have been very keen to make content for the digital space, and they've made money. Some of the comedians that we really know are people who started online and are now making money offline of the kind of models that they created online that made them popular. So as a creative, you have to be thinking in that direction, that how do I use these tools that we've been given to make you money.
Someone else is asking about what the future of digital distribution is, especially with the COVID pandemic pushing everyone there.
Yes.
And so one has to ask themselves whether we are going to now lose that archiving quality that digital used to have in the past. Now with everybody there, are we really going to have room to keep everyone's content, you know?
For me, how I look at it, internet is always growing. I think the possibilities are infinite. Because if we think about 5 years ago, TikTok was not there. Instagram, I think, had just started. So there's a lot of movement in the digital space that we can't even predict. But if you're going to be in a digital world, because I'd say we are in the digital era, which is odd for us because we jumped from agrarian straight into digital. We didn't even do industrialization. So you get to think around, to think of yourself as a global artist. At least for me, that's the advantage. For me, I think there is something out there for anyone. So if you like pet dogs that have yellow ears, you will find them on the internet. So if your content is that, you will find the kind of person who wants that kind of content if you know how to target your audiences correctly. Okay. Another thing about digital distribution, I think you really need to think about to really read your terms and conditions. And last week we were talking about privacy and data protection. So there are certain things in a digital era you have to be so aware of and so on top of things, so that as you grow, because the growth can be exponential, it can be very quick on digital. So if you don't have your paperwork right, if you don't have your contracts right, if you don't understand the rights that accrue to different people, if you don't have your data in safe and in the right way and using it in the right way, and you have no way of creating a path to clear your disputes quickly, then you're going to be in more trouble than us who are in the analog world. Because in the analog world, it was a lot of paperwork that we saw. But on the digital space, you need to be very careful and very... you need to read. That's it. Or if you're not going to read, definitely hire people who are going to read on your behalf, so that you're not caught out. It's true.
And even as you talk about getting someone to read, somebody is asking, if I'm to distribute on those platforms, do I really need to sign a contract?
You tick a box.
A contract is the most important document after your marriage certificate. you know, you must sign a contract. I mean, if you want to place your art on these platforms, we have to know, why are we placing it on this platform? Okay, you want to reach a larger market. How do you know you're going to reach a larger market? There has to be some deliverables that are promised by the platform. They will show you their statistics and they'll say, we can make your content reach X number of people, and yet maybe on your YouTube you have 100 subscribers or your IG. So they reach a larger market than you would ordinarily do by yourself. And then because they are taking revenue from everybody who's hosting their content on the platform, they have a bigger marketing budget than you would ordinarily have by yourself. So you will benefit from that pool of marketing budget that is available. So who will tell you, what will inform you what this platform is going to do for you if you don't sign a contract? So the contract is what will tell you, first of all, what content you're placing, how long you're placing it, what territories is the market reach, how much are you going to make, or rather, what is the revenue share between you and the platform? How are you going to ensure that your work is safe and secure on the platform? What has the platform person done to their platform to ensure that people will not be downloading your music for free and probably masquerading as you and hosting it on other platforms elsewhere? So security issues are very clear. What rights are you giving them to do? Are you allowing them to use your work and make derivative work from it? It should be very clear in the contract. Exactly what are they going to do with your work? What rights are you signing away? So a contract is very. What happens if you want to pull out your content? Maybe you're not making any money. So what's the point? What if you want to pull out? How do you go about resolving disputes? So you're saying, I had 1,000 views. They're saying, no, you had 9. You know, how do you go about resolving this? You have access to that back end where you'll be able to know, even before they send you a statement, you'll be able to know how many streams have I had. So the contract is what will tell you exactly what your rights are and what your obligations are. And conversely, also the platform, what are their rights and what are their responsibilities? And what are their obligations? So please, you need a contract. And I know there are those that you can just, you don't have to have a conversation with someone, but they have a fine print somewhere. Find it, download it, have your legal counsel go through it and tell you exactly what it is all about.
It's called terms and conditions.
Yeah.
And they change them, by the way. All the time.
And it's usually in very small print.
Font 9. Font 9. We write them, we know.
Thank God for Zoom.
Zoom.
You just zoom in.
Yeah. It's always font 9.
Okay. Someone here is asking, what happens if my payments cannot be withdrawn?
What do you mean? No, meaning that you don't get paid?
Yeah, I suppose your content is being hosted, and then you've had some streams, and now there's some money that is due to you, but you're not able to. So I don't know if it's a technical issue. It's a breach of contract. You're not being paid.
I'll definitely go. That sounds like a contract issue because, of course, you put in your music. And therefore you want to get paid. If it's not getting paid, then that's a breach. So you hire somebody like us to figure that out for you. Yes.
Even as you say that, Karimi, I think that sometimes the reason that the contract is important is you can only withdraw after a certain number.
Exactly.
So as much as you might have the money there, you can't withdraw it until you've reached a certain number of streams. So that's why the fine print is important.
Some of the contracts I've seen say they do accounts every 6 to 12 months. Yeah. So they have maybe a June distribution and a December distribution or something like that. So if you didn't read your terms and conditions and they tell you no, you can't withdraw it now, if you go back to the terms and conditions, you will find that in font 9 The lawyer had written, we pay every 15th month after the first 6 months.
And it makes sense because
Yes,
it's expensive to transfer
To
money.
transfer
We can't
money.
keep sending you your $0.03.
Yes.
I mean, it probably costs much more than that to send just,
Yeah.
$1 over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Administratively, it's also a headache to do the accounts every day, I'm sure.
I'm certain.
Send in your questions. We are waiting. So really, Karim, as we wait for the questions to trickle in, how many years are you giving it before we can start seeing our digital streaming millionaires? Or can we, and let's keep Diamond out of it. Just talking regular artists,
I think a lot of the time people don't realize how much time it takes to go up. So you said I don't use Diamond. Sauti Sol, I met Sauti Sol in 2007, and this is now 2020. So this is when they are at Universal and they are doing these kinds of YouTube views and they have their TV show. So it's been a 13-year journey for them to get here, and actually more if you count now high school. This is post high school. I met them then. So one of the things about the digital space again is that thing of, I would say, FOMO. So you see somebody else who you think it looks like they are at your place, but imagine you're not in the same WhatsApp. So because Sauti Sol is on Universal and doing all that stuff, they have 13 years on you if you're starting now. So, and the kind of work that they've been able to put in is different. On the other hand, there's people who don't have those views and who don't have that kind of reach, but the impact that they're having on the ground and the impact that they're being able to have, in the continent is very different when you think about where they're able to reach. And those are now the advantages to me. If you ask me, in 5 years, where do I want? If I was starting now, I'd be learning from all the people who are already doing it, but then at the same time trying to think how my use of these platforms is going to be different from everybody else, and how I can break out to another world. Because again, like I was saying earlier, you cannot. There is no limit. These borders that you are given are a limitation for movement, but on the internet that limitation does not exist. Your marketing on the internet does not there's no limitation of borders. So the way you put yourself out there, guys can make it in a year, others guys make it in 3 years, others guys make it in 15. So it's not predictable if you ask me, but it is the way you work. It's the way you work. And then of course, if the universe has decided, they'll find you from under the bed. It's true.
I guess it's an individual journey
It really
for
is.
everyone, and what you're saying is that there has to be innovation of some sort. So you have to,
for sure.
You can't do the same thing as everyone is doing and expect to make it.
There are 15, 16-year-olds who are getting their videos to 200,000 views in a week. 15, 16-year-olds. The girl who got the one who does videos on Instagram, I forget her name, but she got Rihanna shades, and she was on Anderson Cooper or something like that on CNN. So there are people, and she's 18. So it's not even an age thing. It's also just, and I don't get it, but she got to that place. But you even how you use opportunities like that, because those opportunities will come. If you're going to have that kind of unique content, but when those opportunities come, then you have to also be wise about how you use them. Me, I want to know what deal she signed with Rihanna ama alipewa tu. Because me, I would want to know, I'm giving you 200,000 views. What am I getting paid for using your things? Although if Rihanna gave me shades, I would take them. I'm not saying, so you can give me, I'm not refusing. But also, yes, monetizing those opportunities is an important conversation to have.
So now I see there's two ways that you can go about this. You've talked about the TikToks, the Instagrams, and the YouTubes, where there's really a direct link between yourself and the platform. But then again, we have the aggregators, people who create a platform, and then you have your content on the platform, and then you enter into yet another agreement with them on, what they will do to ensure that you get so much reach. What would you say? Would you say there's any advantage either way?
Some of them you pay for. So some of them you pay $5 a month, $40 a year. So their revenue model is to make money off the user or on this end, and also and then I think they distribute everything to you. So you're paying them upfront with the hope that your $40 in investment is going to make you more than $40 because of being in these spaces. And I think what the digital space has done is it puts a lot of the weight on how the audience sees you on yourself. Because before, the record companies would do their marketing, they would do they would do everything for the user to get. But of course, the record companies were also taking a lot out of the revenue that an artist was making. But now, what record companies are now doing, a lot of the majors are just distribution channels. So you'll enter into partnerships. So some people are able to get partnerships with the majors for distribution and for tours and things like that, which of course now changes, because we're not going to see tours, if you ask me, for another maybe 2 to 3 years, who knows. But if 2023 is when the next time we are going to see a tour, an international tour, a big international tour, then that means before then, those kind of partnerships that people can leverage with, let's say the distribution platform maybe can get your music or your specials onto Deezer, onto Apple Music, onto Amazon. So your value to that distributor might is something that you could think about entering into partnerships and having conversations that create that opportunity for you.
So if you're small, have a partner.
You can do things
if you're
alone.
big enough, well, you can go it alone. I guess that's the...
I would say carry others. Because I was having a conversation earlier in one of my meetings today, and the question was, what's the biggest hindrance here for the development of the music industry? And my assessment of it is, when you open a door, when you've gathered all this knowledge. So I went to law school. I went and I had and I did more law school. But then when I got that education, for me it has been about getting other people to know. So it's not a secret, the things that I know, and I will tell people about the trainings that you can do and the spaces that you can be in. So if you open doors for others, it means the ones before you, like that. This is why this initiative was a really good one, because it means people have just a little more information. Of course, we are not saying this is legal advice. You also always have to seek legal advice after this, but this is just scratching the surface of the information that you need to know. So if more of us do this, and in every realm, there are people who are really good at the digital space. They know how to do the marketing. There are people who know TikTok. If you're opening the door for others, when we walk into a room and we are 17 Africans talking about, you're not going to make a movie about Africa if it doesn't feature African music. That conversation will be very different if all of those 17 people, all of them have billion streams. Because then money always follows money. It's not about how we feel, it's just really about money. Yep. So if you open the door for others, then when we are rushing in and we are 17 of us seated on a table, and all of us Africans moving the conversation into an African story, then it'll be very different. But if we continue closing doors, so you open the door, then you close it behind you, it doesn't really help anybody. And the other thing is consistently improving yourself. You never reach. And that's the thing I enjoy about music, because you never reach. There's no place that you can say, I am the best musician. No, you're not. You're just the best for now until another one comes. So if you're consistently improving ourselves, I think that consistent growing will make sure that we have a different kind of industry. And I think that's the thing that has informed the American way of doing things, the Indian way of doing things. And I guess the leaders right now are Nigeria, but that's only for now. We don't know how it's going to look like, because I am hoping that these conversations will spark more growth.
So I guess COVID has really been a blessing in disguise, and we can see all the challenges that musicians face. And they're really not challenges. I see them as opportunities.
I totally agree with that. COVID is an opportunity, and if the pandemic, in the way that it has played out, I mean, we are now opening up a little bit, but in time, we will see the people who are working over the pandemic and the people who are watching them.
The others working.
Yes, it's true. It's true. The number of albums I've been able to listen to over this time, I have been blessed by the work of other musicians over this time. I've written more over this time. So, yes, challenge in a way, if you look at it from cup half empty. But if you look at it as half full, we have had time to slow down and do the work we never had time to do before. Yeah.
Okay. And we are done. I don't know if you have just one thing, if there was one thing you'd want someone to take out of all this session, just one thing, what would that be?
I would say innovate. Just innovate. Take this situation as I think, like a stopping point, reflect and jump. Like when you swim, you dive. So I think COVID has been our diving board. Take it and dive.
Okay.
For me, I think opportunity, partnerships. I think this we met over this time, and this opportunity happened over this time. So being able to partner with as many people as you can and collaborate, because if you try and open a heavy door by yourself, you won't be able to. But this heavy door of legal challenges and things we have done together. So I think collaborate, partner, and think about working with others, because that's the way many hands make work light.
Easier.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Mine would be makaratasi.
Fine print. You said
Please.
0.9.
Let's just be in the habit of signing agreements before we engage. Okay, that's what my take home would be. And just like that, we've come to the end of 5 amazing sessions. We have enjoyed ourselves, even as we're sharing knowledge. We have also learned from you and gotten to have a glimpse into your artistic world. Our world is not usually very boring, but
on the desk.
You guys are on the desk. No. But I've learned so much from you guys too.
yeah. So we want to thank you for having joined us, and we want to thank our partners, our sponsors. We want to thank Music in Africa for this amazing opportunity. We want to thank Goethe Institute. We want to thank Stiftung. Siemens. Yes, we just want to thank everyone. And of course, not forgetting LAK Advocates. Feel free to engage with us even after this. You now have our social handles. You have our email addresses. Reach out. After paying consultation, but do reach out. Yes, and we have to issue a disclaimer that everything that we have shared with you throughout all these sessions has not been legal advice, so take it as knowledge, as a classroom. If you need legal advice for your specific situation, please reach out. So be on the lookout. We'll have these sessions on our YouTube, on our Instagram. It will be available for you to come back and see and learn and relearn. And we wish you
Merry
Christmas.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Festive
Bye.
season. Bye.
Mhm.